Hello everyone, welcome back to Steven's Fight Show. And wow, oh my god, I can't even believe what I saw on Saturday night. Like, honestly, can any of you that's watching this video right now, can any of you honestly say that you saw that coming? The answer is no, completely no, because there's absolutely no way. I was sitting right here in this exact same chair watching the fight, and I was thinking, Usman's got this. Usman is winning the fight. He's going to coast to an easy decision, and we move. But nope, Leon Edwards scored pretty much probably the biggest upset, or is probably up there as one of the biggest upsets in UFC history. And my god, do I have a lot to say about this. I don't want to waste everybody's time. Let's just get right into it because there's a lot that we need to say about this. Like, the title of this video would have been Kamaru Usman continues to push his narrative of being the greatest MMA fighter of all time. And instead now, the title of this video has to be Leon Edwards shocks the world. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about pre-fight and the hype for this fight. Pretty much Kamaru Usman has beaten every top welterweight in the entire world. He's fought Colby Covington twice. Both fights were extremely close. The first fight was razor close. One judge had Usman winning, the other judge had Covington winning, and the other judge had it a tie going into the 5th round. And Usman got the finish in the first fight, and in the second fight it was also close as well, but Usman got the job done. He also fought Masvidal twice as well. The first time it was a 5-round shutout, and in the second time, I mean, do I really even need to mention what happened in the second time? Like, Masvidal was literally sent to the Shadow Realm with one punch. And he beat Gilbert Burns as well, who's one of the top guys in the division. And although it wasn't a dominant fight for Usman, he got it done by stoppage. And he also beat Woodley to win the belt as well. And on top of that, he's also beat guys like RDA, Sean Strickland. I mean, the list goes on. The only welterweights that are a threat to Kamaru are obviously Khamzat Chimaev and Leon Edwards. Even though Usman already beat Leon Edwards back in 2015, they were both young at the time, and since then they have gotten a lot better. Usman is now pound for pound champ, and before he was primarily a wrestler who had below average striking, and Leon wasn't as tight and as technical and as well rounded as he is today. So essentially, Usman has beaten every single top welterweight in the world and is pretty much on his way to becoming the greatest welterweight in UFC history. And Usman has become so great and dominant that there are talks about him potentially entering the GOAT conversation of MMA. And then you have Leon, who's just been working quietly, beating all the necessary guys in the welterweight division to earn his shot. Leon Edwards, who doesn't nearly have the same resume as Usman, stated that he had a very tough road towards a title shot, which is true because it was a long time coming. He didn't beat the same top guys that Kamaru did, but he did beat a lot of good opponents like RDA, Vicente Luque, Cowboy Cerrone, and Nate Diaz, even though Nate rocked him in the end. Wow, it's crazy how from just that one clip, Nate Diaz pretty much wins that fight because nobody else remembered anything that happened before that fight. But regardless, Leon persevered to get his title shot, and even though he didn't have the best performance overall, my god was it a spectacular finish. It was a finish that no one was expecting at all. But one thing I wanted to mention was that there were also talks about Kamaru's focus for this fight, and when I say talks, I mean Leon Edwards. Pretty much what he was saying was that Kamaru wasn't focused for this fight and that Kamaru has let the fame get to his head. But come on, bro, like, are we being for real right now? Like, personally, I think that's just ridiculous. Like, this is one of the strongest fighters physically and mentally in combat sports. When have we ever seen Kamaru ever slip up or unfocus for any fight? He's had the same look on his face for all of his fights in the UFC. So I just don't understand what Leon was saying. Like, it wasn't even remotely true to even bring up, but anyways, we move. Alright, so let's get into the actual fight. Leon Edwards had a good first round of the fight, landing leg and body kicks, and even scored a takedown against Kamaru. Not only did he knock Kamaru out, but he also took him down, which is honestly insane. Like, I know people are going to say Colby took him down. In terms of wrestling rules, that may count, but in the UFC, you have to control the guy on the ground for it to be scored a takedown. And Leon Edwards had a beautiful outside trip, I believe, to get Kamaru down to the ground. And it was something that I don't think Kamaru was expecting at all. And he was also able to take Usman's back, which was huge because his only loss came from rear naked choke. And I love how Leon was attacking the legs early on in the fight, but I wanted to see more of it later on in the fight. There just wasn't enough activity with the legs, and the knee kicks were great by Leon, and I just wish he had worked off of his leg kicks more because it would have given him a better chance of winning prior to the finish. Usman wasn't really defending the leg kicks very well, and instead, he would reach with his lead hand to try and block it. Based on that, Leon with his skill set on the feet has so many options to follow up. He can throw a jab, he can double up on the jab, he can throw a 1-2, or add a high kick to give Kamaru different looks. I felt like Leon's output wasn't enough to control the distance and get Kamaru's respect, and because of that, Usman never really felt threatened. Usman was able to just walk Leon down using the jab, which is a phenomenal technique from him, especially with the way that he uses it. He was landing that jab down the pipe every single time, and when Usman had Leon up against the cage, that's when he started to open up and made good work of it by throwing combinations of straight punches, hooks, elbows, and body shots. And because of Usman's activity and his work on the feet, he had Leon thinking that this was going to be a striking fight. If this was a pure kickboxing fight, I think Leon would have had his way easier against Kamaru. But Usman did not fall in love with the striking and instead would level change and go for takedowns. Leon actually defended a few takedown attempts, but Kamaru was doing what Leon needed to do, which was string your punches and kicks together instead of throwing one single strike. And that was pretty much the story of rounds 2, 3, and 4, and as the fight went on, it looked like Leon was getting discouraged. I'm not trying to be a hater at all, but the body language from Leon was showing that he might have accepted that he was going to come up short before the final bell. His corner, who is a phenomenal coaching team, was being brutally honest with him throughout the entire fight, but it looked like he wasn't bothered at all. He looked like he wasn't in the mood, and he didn't want to look at his coaches, and if you look at Kamaru was looking straight at Trevor Whitman. But that doesn't matter because from the depths of hell, this man unleashed a beautiful technique where he threw a 1-2 and a head kick on the same side, and he slept Kamaru bad. Like when I say bad, like have you guys seen the pictures of Kamaru literally just like out cold and his eyes wide open, bro? Like first of all, whoever took that picture was violating. Second of all, bro, that is honestly one of the craziest pictures ever in a UFC fight. Leon landed that kick at the perfect time because at that point, it looked like Kamaru was easily going to retain his title. It looked like Leon had chosen to give up and fans were getting ready to leave. Whenever you watch a fight between two fighters and one fighter is clearly winning the fight, when it gets towards the end of the fight, people always say that the fighter that is down needs to do something big to win. And most of the time it doesn't happen, but Leon, he did it and it was absolutely crazy. I honestly still can't believe that it happened. Okay, so now let's talk a bit about Kamaru's legacy and his career and the potential trilogy fight between Kamaru and Leon. Even though this loss puts Kamaru out of the #1 pound for pound spot, it doesn't damage his legacy or career in any way. And the thing is, it's crazy because people are going to clip Kamaru getting knocked out by Leon and exclude the context of the fight, when in reality, Usman was winning every part of that fight until he got caught with a good head kick. And the thing is, we saw the same thing happen to Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira. People always bring up the clip about Alex Pereira knocking out Izzy, but people never want to show context of the fight. When in reality, if you just take your time and watch the fight, you would know who was clearly winning both of those fights. But nowadays, people don't really care for context. People have short attention spans that they just want to see the knockout. And just because Leon executed a perfect head kick at the end, doesn't mean he had a great performance overall. Leon even stated that his performance wasn't the greatest. And to add on to that, Usman was on his way to victory until he made a mistake, which I don't believe he should be criticized for. Combat sports is one of the very few things in the world where you can only make minimal errors or you have to be perfect, which is not possible, so you're going to make a mistake. And if you watch the fight back and you look at both Kamaru and Leon's performances, if you compare the number of mistakes that Leon made compared to Kamaru, I'm pretty sure Leon made a lot more mistakes than Kamaru. It's just unfortunate that Kamaru's last mistake cost him the entire fight, but that's the beauty of fighting and combat sports. There are talks about an immediate rematch, which ideally I think should happen. Usman has done so much to be where he's at today. To be pound for pound #1, it's not easy, and his performance wasn't lackluster, so I think he should get a trilogy fight. And the thing is, in the trilogy fight, I think Kamaru will beat Leon in the trilogy fight, but the thing is, he can't just beat Leon. He has to pretty much delete him. He can't even really submit him. He has to finish him on the feet, and he has to do him like how he did Masvidal. If Kamaru beats Leon the way he beat Masvidal, then no one will remember that head kick. But there's a chance that if Kamaru does retain the title, even if he does retain the title, people are going to bring up that head kick KO from Kamaru. And Kamaru doesn't really want to wait down the line for a rematch against Leon because you have a lot of guys that are creeping up, like Khamzat, Chimaev, and Belal Muhammad. They're waiting to storm through the door and sit on your throne. So all in all, this was just a minor setback for Kamaru that he just needs to come back and rectify. But one last thing I want to say about this is that this just goes to show that no one is unbeatable in combat sports. As much as people and promotions love to advertise a fighter to be invincible, in reality everyone's human. We just saw the pound for for pound champion who obviously wasn't unbeatable, but it looked like he was on his way to being there, just got knocked out in everyone's eyes. And this goes to show that nothing is impossible in life. This goes to show that if you put in the work and you persevere and you continue to build your craft, then anything can be done. And that is it, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to what I have to say, and let me know, who do you think will win in the trilogy rematch, Kamaru or Leon? If Leon doesn't face Kamaru, who do you think he will face next as the champion? Drop a comment and let me know in the comment section down below. Now, if you guys enjoy content that is related to combat sports, please drop a like on this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel down below. That would be greatly appreciated. And other than that, it's been Steven signing out. Peace.